Second down and long for Indianapolis, moving it right to left. They'll sweep it right side to Jonathan Taylor. Huge hole, 45, 50, 45, 40, down the far sideline, out sprinting everybody, 10, 5, Jonathan Taylor, touchdown, I-N-D-Y, a 62-yard run for the rookie out of Wisconsin, his longest rush of the season, and now the Colts lead at 26-17.
Yeah, that was a big run. I actually posted this play. It's a sweet play design where it's an RPO where they've got a pass on the left side of the formation with the left tackle taking a pass set. You've got two men option over there for Phillip Rivers, and everything else is run to the right. And the Raiders just completely botched it. They completely ran with the pass and vacated the middle of the field, and off the races goes Jonathan Taylor. But I'm not here to give you bad news on the Raiders. I'm actually here to give some encouragement, Buck. And you know Raider Nation, they need encouragement every now and then. So I'm going to say you've got 2 home games coming up. A short week, Chargers this week on Thursday. Then they play the Dolphins, a team they're jockeying for position with to get into the postseason. They finish up at Denver, a team that's 5-8 right now. So I think if they can win those 3 games, I think the Raiders are going to find their way into the postseason. So as bad as this one looked, if you're the Raiders, this is one of those great examples of you better flush this quick and get ready to play on Thursday night.
Yeah, you got to flush it real quick. One of the people were flushed. Paul Gunther, their defensive coordinator, was flushed. It was the 8th time that the Raiders have given up 40-plus points in the 3 years since John Gruden arrived. And so he felt like he made it a change. He's handed over the play sheet to Rod Marinelli. Rod Marinelli is going to put the number 1 priority on effort, making sure they play hard, they finish at the ball, they do a good job of tackling. And they'll probably play more soft zone and see if they can keep the ball in front. And when you think about the way the Raiders want to play, ball control, physical offense, a bend but don't break defense, they still have a chance. We'll see how quickly Rod Marinelli can put it together on defense, but that's what's the task at hand for the Raiders.
All right, a couple of questions for you guys here. So looking now at the defensive coordinator switch and the philosophical change perhaps that comes with Rod Marinelli, talking about more soft zone, does that make the need for a pass rush less vital? Because it's clear that the Raiders don't have one. This is the 5th game this season. They did not register a sack. They have just 15 on the year. So is that one way to, I guess, counter one of the weaknesses of this team?
Yeah, I think they're going to have to get a pass rush. I don't care any scheme you want to look at, however you want to diagram it, right? If you're going to play soft zone and you're not going to get to the quarterback, you're going to get picked apart. You know, just as if you were playing man, you can't get a pass rush, you're going to get picked apart. You've got to find a way to generate some pressure. They have to do that, and they haven't been able to do so. And the other thing is, linebacker-wise, they aren't very good at the second level. So those guys don't play aggressive. They don't play downhill. And I'll get to Bucky with one question here as we wrap up on the Raiders. Then Bucky, you can take your Vikings takeaway coming right out of this. But I'm watching, and you've talked about it. We've talked about Jamal Adams and how he's been used with the way Seattle's used him to let him rush. And I'm sitting there looking at Jonathan Abram, who to me has a lot of DNA similarities there with how he plays the game. Why not let him drop down? We just saw Hassan Reddick, who's 235 pounds, have a 5-sack game. So if you've got a dynamic athlete who has struggled a little bit in the post and playing in the back end, why not drop Jonathan Abram down there and try and use him on some games and get him rolling a little bit to spice up this pass rush?
Yeah, I think that has to be in their bag because they cannot generate a pass rush. Max Crosby is the only credible threat on the line, and he hasn't been able to consistently get home. And so when you're unable to rush the passer, it really doesn't matter whether you play man or zone. The quarterback can have his way. And so it's something that Rod Marinelli would have to do. I don't know how much you can fix in the middle of a season, but it's something that he has to figure out because the Raiders are good enough to be a playoff team, but their defense is really holding them back.
What do you got here on the Vikings here, Buck?
The Vikings miss out on a big win.
2nd and goal from the 9. Cousins, shotgun, facing a blitz, makes a handoff. He's hit, and he dropped it, and Kirk fell on it at the 20. It'll be a sack. Levante David the first to get to him. They went play action, and 2 players were up on Cousins. It's an 11-yard loss. There's nothing number 8 can do about that.
You know, DJ, if you just looked at the box score, you would come away thinking that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are ready, that they found their identity, and this is team to ready to make a Super Bowl run. But in watching that game, the Minnesota Vikings dominated the game. And for whatever reason, they weren't able to put points up on the board. The first quarter, Dalvin Cook and company, they had over 70 rushing yards in the first quarter. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers had no answer for this running game. But what happened, every time you play the style that the Vikings are playing, you have to be able to cash in at least with field goals. Dan Bailey missed 3 field goals and an extra point, cost him 10 points. And when you look at the differential, the 10 points not only would have changed the game, but it would have changed the way the Tampa Bay Buccaneers had to play. It's a disappointing and heartbreaking loss for a team that I believe they probably walk into the building today and say, we outplayed the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but we didn't get our reward.
Yeah, for a team with playoff aspirations, this is the wrong team to have questions at the kicker spot. This is a time of the year where if games come down to the wire, you need to rely on that. And that's where the Vikings stood coming into this game in the 7th and final playoff spot in the NFC. They now find themselves on the outside looking in. And to your point at the top there, Bucky, about the Bucs and specifically about their offense, I mentioned it in our Aftermath production meeting, getting set for our 3 o'clock Eastern time broadcast today on NFL Network. I felt like every time the Bucs have won this season, we've asked the question, all right, are they finally figuring it out on offense? Is this finally the product that we're going to see carry this Buccaneers team into the postseason and give Tom Brady another shot at a Super Bowl run? I don't know. I mean, we saw the definitive play made in this game by the most unheralded receiver on this team, and Scotty Miller, in the deep touchdown catch, who had kind of disappeared from the game plan since Antonio Brown came along. I know Rob Gronkowski ended up scoring in this one as well, but I'm still left with questions when it comes to the Bucs offense, and I don't know that there's enough time left in this season to truly find all the answers. But there is also, by that same token, DJ, still time for the Bucs to truly figure this thing out here. 3 games left before they can find their way into the playoffs here, but they still got to do it.
Well, I thought a little rest there for Tom Brady. You saw him play well. I know the numbers weren't great, but you saw that, especially that deep ball. I thought he threw the ball pretty well. The challenge is going to be in years past when he's been in New England, as he's gotten older, Tom Brady's usually had that bye to try and freshen up as they have to go on and win 3 games, and that's not happening this year. So from here on out, we'll see how that wear and tear, how he holds up through that process.